playing.
From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm LeBron James' new agent, also known as Jaime Hixson.
My name is Hector Bosa, the hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. And you know why I'm kneeling? Because just the way the NFL players kneel, I'm kneeling here too. Because, God, please, Jesus. You know how CTV is so damn bad sometimes? I got to tell you. But this is a sports show. But sports and politics go together, hand in hand. July 6th is coming up. And NBA is coming.
Well, just to give you an idea about what happened over the weekend, supposedly...
For those people that don't know yet, LeBron James is supposedly going to the Los Angeles Lakers.
There's no supposedly about it, man. He's already agreed to terms.
Until he signs it on the dotted line, I'm saying supposedly, and that's what you have to do by an
It's not supposedly. It's a done deal.
Did he sign it on the dotted line?
He's not allowed to until the 9th.
Then he's, by all means, he's not done until he's signed on the dotted line. Anybody would tell you that. But anyway, here we go. Is it worth for him to go to L.A.? Everybody's talking about it. WFAN, ESPN, all that other jazz. Does he belong with the Lakers?
Does he belong with the Lakers?
Yeah.
They seem to think so. They've been tracking him down for about a year now.
Here's the reason why. He's not really going to a contending team.
He by himself is going to make them a contender.
Yes, but...
And it turns out he's not the only one that decided to join them either. They also brought in a couple of other pieces as well.
But OKC, CP3 is not leaving Houston.
Yeah, CP3 is going to re-sign with the Rockets. Paul George is going to re-sign with Thunder.
And that's who he wanted to play with.
He wanted to be a Laker originally, but the NBA nixed the deal.
And that's how, but you see, I don't know how that is possible because if you're doing a trade, they just don't want super teams anymore. If that's the case, that's a problem.
They don't want super teams because they're trying to they're trying to create some kind of competitive balance.
It is. The Western Division is more competitive than the Eastern Division. We've had this talk before. Even though it's not, it's the amount of games and, well, they took Cleveland to 6 games or 7 games and so forth. That's not the point. It's easier to make in the finals in the East than it is in the West. You have harder players. It's tough. I don't know how this guy's going to pull it off, considering the Lakers are a young team.
They're a young team, but at the same time, they grew by leaps and bounds this past season. They went from 20 wins to 23 or 24 wins. This past season, they won, I think, 36 games. And that's with a roster that had guys like Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram and also Kyle Kuzma, who was a really important secondary player for them last season.
Let me ask you something. What place were they in?
In the division or in the conference overall?
Division and conference.
Well, in the Pacific Division, I think they were about 4th place behind the Warriors and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Kings were dead last year.
Okay, now.
And there was also Phoenix, too. And for the record, the Lakers were 3rd. It was the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers. Then you had the Kings and the Suns in that order in the Pacific.
And they won 35 games.
35 to 36 games last season.
How many did the Knicks win?
They won 28 games.
They won 28
29
games.
To be exact.
29.
They won 29 games, and the Nets won 28.
So you figure 7 games, if my math is correct. Yeah. See, it doesn't take much to make it in the Eastern Conference. If you can win 30, you're in. That's sad.
If you could win 30?
30? If you can win 30 to 32 games, you're in the Eastern Division. I'm sorry.
Between 35 and 40, maybe. I don't know about 30 on the dot.
No, not 30 on the dot. But if you're over 30, like 32, 33, you're making the East. But does he have the pieces? I've always said to you that if the Knicks, they have Kristaps Porzingis, right? This is
he had the blown out knee.
This is an article. This is an article that I read. I know you're trying to be critical of him, but keep an open mind on something. If he comes back the way he's supposed to come back, they said in this article that everybody wanted to play with him. Everybody wanted to be his coach. Fizdale wanted to be his coach. There was a lot of candidates that wanted to be and play for him. Now, I'm not agreeing nor disagreeing. My question to you is, can he be the person that brings in talent like your LeBron James and so on?
No. Those two.
I'm not comparing them.
It's apples and oranges.
But if players, as they say in this article, want to play for him, then he's got to have some type of pull. Because LeBron at 33, he can last until about 37, even 40 if he stays in good shape.
And he's in tremendous shape right now.
You know, if he doesn't lose his legs under him or something and actually gets good players around him that he doesn't have to put the weight on his shoulders. You know what? The best thing that he did is that he didn't do a whole half-hour presentation of when he was going and where he was going and how he was doing.
I think he learned his lesson really well after that disaster from 8 years ago.
Because, you know, and was it worth for him to leave Cleveland? Yes. Will Cleveland rebound from this? Probably. But will they have to rebuild? Yes.
They don't want to rebuild. They already made it loud and clear. They don't want to rebuild. They're going to try, and they're convinced that they're going to try and still be a playoff contender in the Eastern Conference next season. It's going to be hard, though.
It's going to be harder, yeah. But do they have the players to actually, let's say, beat the Celtics?
Do the Cavaliers have the players to beat the Celtics as constituted? No.
Okay. Who can they beat?
Who can the Cavaliers beat?
If the top three teams are Celtics, Philly.
If they keep the guys, now that LeBron's gone, if they keep the guys that they have right now, like Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson or J.R. Smith. Oh, and they made it loud and clear. The Cavaliers are not getting rid of Kevin Love, and they're certainly not trading Tristan Thompson.
No.
If they stay as is, they could probably beat the 6th or 7th or 8th place team that's in the conference, possibly the 5th place team. I doubt that they can beat the Celtics. I really doubt that they can beat the Sixers, because right now, the two teams to beat in the Eastern Conference are the Celtics and the Sixers. And right now, the way that rivalry has been reborn, because there's been a lot of history between the Celtics and the Sixers going back 50 years.
Yeah.
That is the new rivalry, which also happens to be one of the oldest rivalries in the game, Celtics versus Sixers in the NBA right now.
True.
As far as can LeBron compete with the Laker roster as is? Well, consider this. We mentioned Kuzma, we mentioned Lonzo Ball, we mentioned Brandon Ingram.
Lonzo Ball got his bad wheel too.
Mm-hmm.
So
he had a knee injury.
So exactly. So,
well, you also have to remember this. After LeBron, the Lakers added some really important pieces to the puzzle.
Who are they?
Just moments ago, they signed Rajon Rondo, and they're going to have him, even though they told him he's not going to get as much playing time as Lonzo Ball, he is going to compete hard for that starting point guard job. That's number one.
Like Maurice Cheeks did. Mm-hmm. He wasn't supposed to start, and then you see him in the playoffs with an oxygen mask.
One other thing, they also signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who got a bit of a hiatus for a year playing in Detroit. Now he's back with the Lakers for a second tour of duty. That's the second big addition that they've made. And also there's some of the holdovers, guys like Luol Deng, who, even though he's got one of the worst contracts out there, they might make him a really important guy to bring off the bench, maybe a sixth man type.
So who is this next big max signing that you think they'll be able to get this year? Or
who's going to be able to get?
Or the Lakers. If everybody's waiting because even the Knicks.
I think they already did that.
No, but they want at least 2 or 3 max players. They want 2 because everybody's shooting for 2019. Forget 2018. Everybody's shooting for 2019 because everybody's coming out. Kevin Durant's coming out. Irving's coming out. Butler's coming out. All them other people are coming out right now. On 2019, everybody's shooting for 2019. They're all making salary cap space for 2019. Now, but this year, for the people that are out today, who are those people that the Lakers can say, since they can't sign Paul George now, they can't sign OKC, they can't sign Houston. The only person they can probably get is Kawhi Leonard, and I wouldn't trade him in the Western Division anyway.
Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade him. If I had to trade him, I'd trade him in the East, not in the West.
The Spurs already made it clear they're only going to send him to the Eastern Conference. They're not going to make a deal with any Western Conference team. Besides, the Lakers have made some rather soft proposals to the Spurs in regards to who they want to give up for Leonard. And
Lonzo Ball, they're willing to give up Lonzo Ball. They're willing to give up a lot of things for this guy because they want to be a super team like there was before.
And the Spurs want at least 4 first-round picks, too.
That's a heck of a lot for a person that has had a bad hip and a bad leg.
Yep.
Even though he is, 27 years old, I think? 20 years old, somewhere around there.
You mean Ball?
No, Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, he's about 26 years of age
26 years old, bad hip, bad leg. If he's healthy, he can be the master of his own universe.
Yep. And don't forget the Lakers, they also drafted a couple of guys just last month. They wound up getting the Michigan kid, Moritz Wagner, and also the kid from Kansas, Slava Mikhailuk. And also they wound up bringing in Gary Payton II. And yes, he is Gary Payton's son.
Yes.
And they also have...
The Glove. Is he called Glove Jr. now?
I think they call him the Mitten. And they also have the draft pick from last year, Josh Hart from Villanova, who played pretty well for them in a supporting role. So when you think about it, this is a lot of youngsters that LeBron is going to try and mentor in addition to the handful of veterans that they have.
I want to ask you about the Knicks for a minute. The Knicks got the number 3, the number 3, the number 5, and the number 7 pick from other teams that were supposed to be good on those other teams, but they weren't.
Yeah,
how do you
just
feel?
Over the weekend they signed Mario Hezonja, who was drafted 1 spot ahead of Kristaps Porzingis by the Magic.
6'6" forward. Again, another guy that if his head's in the game, supposedly from what I read on Stream, the one that we like, he's supposed to be good if his work ethic is good enough to do what he has to do.
And he had 4 years with the Magic and did nothing.
Towards the end, he was starting to do something because he was starting to get more playing time. But you have the number 3, 5, 7 pick. How do you think the Knicks did with those picks if they're motivated to play for this team?
You mean the draft picks from last month?
From last month, and also...
They had a decent draft.
And also the people that they just recruited from last year and this year. Because Moutier and all them... Moutier and all them... These were top draft choices. Now, they didn't pan out. But if they're willing to play for Fizdale, if he can do some magic with them, because if he's supposed to be that good and he can get through these guys, if they play to their potential, that's going to be some team.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also have to consider what they did in the past with their previous employers. Emmanuel Mudiay could not shoot the ball well at all. He also couldn't keep himself healthy either. I mean, when he's 100%,
He came out of shape.
Yeah, he was also out of shape, which did not help him at all.
Because that's what they kept on telling. That's what they kept on saying with the Knicks. Oh, he needs to be in basketball shape. He needs to be.
What is basketball shape anyway?
Basketball shape is when you can run up and down, shoot, and breathe. Because there's all type. A football player cannot play basketball. A football player cannot go to wrestling school and be in shape. You can be in football shape. You can be in basketball shape. But if a wrestler tries to go to football or a football player tries to go to wrestler, they both puke. Both puke. So that's what you call football shape and basketball. That particular sport, that's what you do for. Even though they basically do the same things to some degree, certain exercise and so on. But again, how does the team, if they play to all their potential, how do you see them?
I still see them struggling mightily. I mean, they still don't have a lockdown defender. They still don't have a guy who could command a double team. They still don't have great shooters whatsoever. Quite frankly, I don't see them doing better than maybe 25 to 30 wins next year. It just looks
Is that with Kristoff
bad.
or without? Is that with Kristoff or without Kristoff?
I think that might be without Kristaps Porzingis.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be able to return after such a debilitating knee injury
Now,
over the winter.
with him, it would be what?
30 to 35 wins.
So you're still low on them, even though if they play to their number 3 potential, number five
Even if they were,
potential,
even if they were at full strength, they would still struggle mightily, just like they struggled mightily the last 3 quarters of last season.
I'll bet you something though.
Which is
If they play to their potential, like they should, supposedly, because I'm going by how Fitzdale and their coaching staff drills them and does this bit and tries to magnify them and come in basketball shape and so on, they're going to make the playoffs.
they're not
Excuse
going
me.
to the
They'll
playoffs.
wait. You don't.
They're
you,
not going
don't start
to the
yelling.
playoffs.
Don't start yelling because I'll leave. I'm telling you now.
That would not be such a big loss.
They may make the playoffs.
They're not going to the
Let
playoffs.
Let me finish.
How do you expect
Wait a
a
minute,
team
wait a
like
minute.
that to make the playoffs
Wait
when
a
they don't
minute.
play any freaking D?
Wait.
Come on
You
now.
got Frank Nikita that can play defense. You
That's
got
individual
Kevin,
defenders. They
Excuse
also
me.
have to learn how to play
you-
help
Did
defense
you
at
hear-
all.
Did you hear what I said? If they play to their full potential, listen to what I'm saying. I'm going by if they play to their full potential and the coaching staff does what it's supposed to do and they listen to the coaching staff because they got wingspans to 7 feet. A couple of them have wingspans to 7 feet. Now, individually, you're right. Individually, it's a totally different game than playing team ball. I give you that. I grant you that. See? But if they play team ball and they use their width and their strength and it's supposed to do what they're supposed to do, there's only 3 top teams in the league or 4 top teams in the league that you can count off. The Celtics is 1, top team. The Sixers, top team. And there's probably, who are the other 2 top team players? Top teams.
The Pacers,
The
Raptors,
Okay.
the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat is No.
They got
no.
Miami's got some really good athletes.
that's
I wouldn't
what?
sell them so short, man.
The way you're selling the Knicks, that's the whole point.
That is a train wreck.
Look at-
That's
like
what
I
they
said,
are.
So that's 6. So that's 6 major teams. You still got 2 left. If they can't make these 2, then they're sad.
There's
I'm
also
going by-
also the Milwaukee Bucks, who probably
Again.
have the best all-around player in the East right now, which is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm going by if they play. I'm assuming that I'm going by the if. I'm not going until I see them in person. Until they start playing, you start having to assume things now because you have to assume that LeBron's going to take the Lakers to the championship. You're going to have to assume that the Lakers are going to bring 2 top quality stars to the Lakers that they want. They want to make that the all-star Lakers like it was before with Kareem, Magic, Worthy, Rambis, and all them other
They're
guys.
not expecting
Yes, they
those
are.
3.
Yes, they
They're
are.
expecting the best player in the game
No.
to join them, and they did.
And they expecting him to bring other people as well.
Well, it's not going to happen now
that's
because
the
other
point I'm
guys
trying to make.
decided to re-sign with their old employers.
Well, that's not my problem. They said it. I'm only quoting what I read. And what I'm reading is this. That all them guys were supposed to go to Lakers. All these guys were supposed to do this. LeBron was supposed to bring this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. Now, who are they going to bring? They still have to wait until 2019. I'm not saying that the Lakers got a bad team. But again, you're playing in a tough Western Division conference.
Let me
A
put it
very
this way.
tough
The
Western
Lakers are
Division
going to trump
conference.
the Clippers now because now DeAndre Jordan is gone and the Clippers are basically in rebuilding mode.
You know what?
So right now, the Lakers,
You're right.
for the Lakers to be the second best team in the Pacific Division after the Warriors, that's really saying something because the Clippers are rebuilding. The Kings are another train wreck. The Suns are building with a whole bunch of young players. They are light years away from being taken seriously at all,
But they're still building with young players.
and they're still building with young players.
Right. Okay. Just like most of the team is trying to do now.
Yeah.
Most of the teams now, they're trying to do salary cap and try to build. For the ones that are losers, they're trying to get the best player for next year.
Do you also notice that a lot of these stars are signing 1-year deals or 2-year deals with an option or 3-year deals with an
Yes,
option or
yes.
4-year deals with an
Yeah,
option?
yes.
That's exactly what LeBron did. He got a 4-year deal with an option.
for the third. You know
Paul
why?
George got the same thing when he re-signed with Oklahoma City.
You know why?
4 years and an option.
You know why though, right? He's a
Because
smart
he
dude.
wants the big pot of money down the road. That's why.
If he wants to be, again, do you want money or do you want championships? Do you want to have your own movie production in LA?
He
Or
already
do you-
has that.
Or do you want your own championship and be, he's considered one of the best players in our lifetime. You can't compare him to Michael Jordan, even though people try. You can't compare him to Dr. J, even though people have tried. You can't compare him to any other thing, even though they pass and scoring and all that other garbage. But it was different eras. Different play, different eras. That is the truth. That we can agree on. But right now, as I said, everybody's putting their part. Even KD. As much of a joke as this may be, and this is a pipe dream because I can't believe this myself, they're going to try to lure KD to the New York Knicks.
He's not going to the Knicks.
Did I?
What part of
Excuse
this
me.
do you not understand?
Didn't I say pipe dream? Didn't I say that? I said pipe dream that he's supposedly going to
The
Knicks.
guy wouldn't even so much as accept an interview, not a contract,
An interview.
an interview
You're right.
from that franchise.
And-
Because he knows how much of a mess their front
And-
office is.
They're not that bad now. You're making them. They're
They're
to be,
still a mess.
They're not as bad as before.
No,
they're not as bad
they're
as before.
still
How
bad.
are they bad, Jim?
Because for one, James Dolan is still running that
Still hasn't
horror
stuck-
show.
still hasn't stuck
And
his
number
nose
two,
in 6
he's
years.
still got the same yes man that he had before, Steve Mills. And number
Okay.
three, he's got another guy who has worked for 3 different franchises: the Pistons, the Kings, and the Magic.
Yes.
None of those teams made the playoffs when he ran the show over there.
You got that. You make a good point.
And he was so desperate to get out of Sacramento that he took this job. He was in Sacramento barely a month,
Yes.
and he knew that things were rocky
So-
over in Northern
so-
California.
So,
I mean, you got to be really desperate if you want to leave Sacramento for the Knicks.
well, I look at it this way.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they seem to be nice guys, except for Dolan. Dolan is just a devil.
Yes,
He has been
yes.
a devil. He always will be a devil.
Yes, especially what he did to Oakley and so forth. But
And it's
Here's
not
the-
just
here's
Charles
something-
Oakley either.
what
This goes back about 2 decades.
what he's done in the past will haunt him. But the thing that he hasn't done since he signed Phil Jackson, and this you can't tell me that he has, the fact that he hasn't stuck his nose into anything, into any of the basketball things. let
It's
Phil
Murphy's
Jackson,
Law with this
he
guy.
let-
Anything
let-
that can go wrong
he let
does go
Phil-
wrong.
Exactly. But he doesn't. In the past, what has he done in the past? Stuck his nose into things he's not supposed to, correct?
And that's why they have 11 coaches in 17
exactly.
years.
But has he stuck his nose lately? No. He's going to let the team play. All right, fine. Again, wait until the season starts. The players that they have now, they signed Luke Cornett. Is that a big deal? The only reason that they have him is for his three-point shooting. That's it. That he could shoot a three-pointer. Can he play defense? Yeah. He's a 7-foot guy. He doesn't have to do much. His wingspan is God knows how long. He's a 7-footer and so on.
Yeah, that and Joel Embiid can make 90-footers every once in a while.
Okay. So.
Just remember this.
Yes. A kiss is not a kiss.
I was about to say, this devil cannot even try to duck the media fast enough because he doesn't want to talk about the horror show that he has, which is the Knicks and the Rangers.
What he did with Charles Oakley was horrible. What he did
Remember when the Yankees had their Bronx Zoo days?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Mr. Steinbrenner would have wanted to shy away from talking to the media about anything? He loved the attention.
Different animals.
Totally different animals.
Dude,
George Steinbrenner was a cantankerous old soul who fired 17 managers in as many years.
Mike Cuban.
That's a whole nother story right there.
The guy from the Dallas Cowboy.
Mark Cuban.
No, the Dallas Cowboy.
Are you talking about Jerry Jones?
Jerry Jones. He's another one.
Oh, brother.
They're all out there. Most of the time, you're gonna miss these guys when they're gone. You're gonna miss them because right now, as good as the team is right now, and Steinbrenner would have probably blown it if he would have still been here.
He definitely would have blown it. Although he probably learned his lesson when he hired Stick Michael.
You know, he probably would have brought back Billy Martin if he could have. Again,
brother.
For a fifth term.
Tell you what, though. At least Jerry Jones has won 3 titles. Mr. Steinbrenner produced 7 championships when he was around.
But he also stuck his nose into
and he stuck his nose around. He stuck his nose where it didn't belong. But still, he won 7 World Series with that franchise.
But that's the thing. If you stick your nose into something and you win, you're a genius. But if you stick your nose into something that they lose, they're the devil.
Yeah, but you know what the difference is between Mr. Steinbrenner and that devil?
You can't.
Mr. Steinbrenner hired Gene Michael.
Yeah.
And Gene Michael also had guys who wound up producing guys like Derek Jeter and Andy Pettitte and Jorge Posada and Bernie Williams and Mariano Rivera. And they also had the courage to tell Mr. Steinbrenner, no, you don't do that.
Yeah, somebody needed it.
James Dolan is looking for a reason to tell him, yes, sir.
Look at this for a second.
All right, let's just move on from this, please.
In the American League, you have Yankees 54-27, Boston 56-29, Tampa Bay 42-41, Toronto 39 wins, 44 losses, Baltimore 24 wins, 59 losses, and you take the rest because I'm
Long story short, the Yankees and the Red Sox had their series in the Bronx over the weekend, and the Yankees took 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 definitely ain't bad. And more importantly, the Yankees and the Red Sox are tied for the division lead. The only difference is the Red Sox have 2 more wins while the Yankees have 2 less losses. Tampa is barely getting by with pitching, and they don't even have a clear-cut number 1 starter. They're literally doing a starter by committee. They're using relievers for maybe 1 or 2 innings, and then they're going to bring somebody else in. They do this for every single game. That is asking for trouble with your pitching staff right there. Baltimore is a complete and utter dumpster fire. The only question with them is, are they going to trade Manny Machado? And from what I understand, one team that's really hot for Manny Machado right now is the Dodgers.
So is the Yankees at some point.
The Yankees have been rumored to get him. I think the Atlanta Braves might have been rumored to get Manny Machado as well.
Is he worth to get for the Yankees considering the way they're playing now?
Honestly, no, because the Yankees have Miguel Andujar to play third base, and he just got named Rookie of the Month, and he has been terrific for them this season. He's added power. He's added really good defense at third base. He's been a really refreshing influence on a lot of the veteran players there. Him and Gleyber Torres and also Luis Severino, who wound up winning yesterday and is right now is the clear-cut favorite to be the starting pitcher for the American League in the All-Star game. By the way, the All-Star game is going to be 2 weeks from tomorrow. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they're playing this year's game in Washington, D.C., which is interesting considering that this is Bryce Harper's walk year, and I think this could be the last All-Star game that Bryce Harper plays in a Nationals uniform. So, now, as far as the Central Division of the American League,
I'm going to do it this way. Cleveland 40, what do you mean? Wait a minute. 45 and 37. What do you think?
Cleveland's played a lot better baseball lately. They're getting better pitching, and also they're getting much better contributions from the batting order.
Minnesota 35 and 45.
Minnesota's been a complete disappointment this season. They have not been able to get the pitching that they were hoping for.
Detroit 37-48.
Detroit's in a rebuilding mode, and this also begs the question, could we be seeing the last of Miguel Cabrera? Because he's put in a long tenure for the Tigers. He's gone to a couple of World Series with them, 3 World Series to be exact. Could this be the time that maybe they explore trade options for him to try and get some younger blood?
Chicago 29 and 54.
That's another team that's been rebuilding with younger players. One of whom is catcher Yoan Moncada, who's hit a little bit of a wall lately, but still, the White Sox might be 2 or 3 years away from being taken really seriously.
Kansas City 25 and 58.
Worst team in the American League by far. That's the same franchise that won the World Series 3 years ago. Losing all of those guys that they did to free agency what really hurt them bad.
Western Division, something great that happened to the Houston Astros was moving to the American League because they're 55 and 31. What do you say?
Houston's the best team in the American League right now. I mean, you can argue the Yankees and the Red Sox, but as long as the Astros continue to just smoke that division and also the rest of the league, they still have to be considered the best.
Seattle 54 and 31.
They're really catching up to the Astros right now.
They're half a game behind.
And the interesting part about this is they've done a lot of this without Robinson Cano, who's suspended for a long time because of PEDs.
Robinson Cano, don't you know?
Robbie Cano, don't you know?
He does PED. Now you know. Oakland 46 and 39, even though he didn't supposed to know. But no.
Oakland has really surprised some people. 7 games over 500. This is a team that's been doing it with a lot of hitting.
43 and 42, the Los Angeles Californians.
The Los Angeles Angels got off to a pretty quick start, but they've suddenly dipped a little bit because of some really poor pitching.
They're Los Angeles Angels now? Damn, I miss California Angels better. But
so much better.
Texas is 38 and 47.
They're a lot better than they were at the start of the season, but now they're starting to win some games, mostly because of their hitting.
In the Western Division in the
National League,
Arizona 47 and 37.
They're leading the National League West because Paul Goldschmidt has emerged as the best slugger in the game.
Los Angeles Dodgers 44-39.
Dodgers are keeping up with the Diamondbacks right now, and a lot of that has been done with Clayton Kershaw being in and out of the lineup, in and out of the pitching rotation rather, because of his back.
San Francisco 45-40.
San Francisco's playing a lot better baseball right now, and just the other day, Andrew McCutchen, the ex-Pirate, wound up winning a game with a home run, and he's really been able to give a real shot in the arm to that batting order.
Colorado Rockies 41-43.
They're teeter-tottering a little bit, mostly because they've had major problems with pitching.
San Diego, 37-49.
San Diego cannot get out of their own way whatsoever. They have 0 stars. They're basically doing this with a lot of young guys.
Yeah, okay. Central Division. Let's go from last to first. Cincinnati, 36-48.
The record sounds bad, but it's actually ahead of schedule for the Reds because they're working in a lot of young players. Look for them to maybe make things interesting in the next, I would say, 2 years or so.
Pittsburgh, 40-43.
Record's not great, but at the same time, they're still able to truck along with some decent pitching.
St. Louis, 42-40.
You have to consider this a bit of a disappointment for the Cardinals. They really expected to be much better than this. Unfortunately, they've had some guys in and out of the lineup because of injuries.
Chicago in second place, 47-35.
Do not count the Cubs out. They've been a perennial contender 3 years running, and as always, they're doing this with pitching.
Milwaukee Brewers in first place. That's another team that they switched to the National League, and they've done better than the American League, 48-35.
And they've done so much better ever since they brought in Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich to play in the same outfield together, and those two have been the difference in the Brewers leading the Central.
In the Central Division. We did that, right? Yes,
Yep.
we did. Okay, last but not least, in the Eastern Division, in first place, Atlanta, 48-34.
Seriously, who saw the Braves really charging the way they have right now? They're totally ahead of schedule, and it's been their rookie star, Ronald Acuna, who's been leading the way in the batting order. He's added contact hitting, he's added quickness on the base paths, and he's also added really good defense for them.
Philadelphia, 45-37.
This, despite the fact that Carlos Martinez has been really, really up and down in the batting order this season. They've been doing that mostly because some of their young players have been leading the way in the batting order.
Washington, 42-40.
Really disappointing start for the Nationals this season. They expected to be at the top right now, but they've had a couple of guys hurt. But as long as Bryce Harper is still in the lineup, and also guys like Anthony Rendon and Daniel Murphy, that's another thing. Daniel Murphy's been missing from the lineup a lot because of injury. As long as those guys are still in the batting order, you never, ever count them out.
Mets, 33-48. Is it time for Mickey Callaway to go since people are going and calling for his head?
Not yet. If you want to place the blame on this, place the blame on the batting order. Jose Reyes is now in the twilight of his career, and they're trying to show some class with him because he's been a stalwart of theirs on and off for over a decade. But at the same time, he's got to realize that he just does not have it anymore. Not only that, but look at everybody else that's in the batting order. Wilmer Flores is now taking over most of the time at first base. There's also Asdrubal Cabrera, who was their best hitter for a time, but he slumped badly. Ahmed Rosario looks lost, both at the plate and playing shortstop. Todd Frazier's been in and out of the lineup because he's been hurt. Michael Conforto looks completely lost at the plate. Jay Bruce has been hurt also. He's been out for a long time. Yoenis Cespedes has been hurt. Also, their catcher has been out the majority of the year. And, of course, the pitching. The pitching has been a complete and utter abomination. If they haven't been hurt, they've been incompetent.
I'm sorry, but do you attribute that to the health coaches and so forth that they get been hurt lately? Because that's another thing that the fans have been saying that, it's the people that tell them how to weight lift and because they've always had trouble with them. They've always had trouble with their doctors and so forth for some reason.
They have, but at the same time, when you rely too much on a particular pitch that is going to cause some elbow or shoulder problems, maybe there comes a time in the shelf life of a pitcher when they need to learn how to reinvent themselves. And because the Mets are so lousy, there's Jacob deGrom and Noah Syndergaard trade rumors.
Now that would be good for the Yankees, but I doubt that.
Tell you what, either one of those guys would look great in a Yankee uniform, but
There's been 38 players since the Yankees. There's been 38 players since Yankees and Mets have traded off with.
And there have been well over 100 players who've worn the Yankee and Met uniform.
Oh, really? Over 100?
Well over 100. Wow. In fact, we did
it one day. Yeah, we did it one time.
we did a little segment about that many years ago.
Oh, wow.
But I'll tell you what, if you ask other Met fans whether they should trade those two guys, they're going to tell you no. They want to see them build around those two guys.
Yeah, but by the time you build around one of them, he'll be too old.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of the old one and then.
And Jacob deGrom is approaching his 30th birthday right now.
And that's supposed to be old in the American League. That's the thing that kills
And Jacob deGrom has been fantastic this year. But the only reason why he's won
no run production
just 5 games is no run production, and the bullpen stinks.
Last but not least, Miami. 34-51. At least the Mets are one half a game.
Let me say this about the Marlins.
Derek Jeter, come on.
Yeah. Derek Jeter basically did the Yankees a favor when he traded away Giancarlo Stanton. He has not been great with the Yankees, but he's hit some big home runs for them. And another thing, you know how much the average attendance was from Mets versus Marlins this past weekend? By the way, the Marlins took 2 out of 3 from the Mets this weekend. You know what their average attendance was?
What?
9,000.
Oh, I thought that was a joke.
9,000.
That is a joke.
The Marlins' attendance figures are a joke. That franchise is a joke. You know what? This is their 25-year anniversary season.
They've won World Series on and off.
They've won 2 championships. That is the extent of their history. Their 2 championships.
Yeah, at least they won.
Now let's
They were ahead of the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
They were ahead of the Cubs.
Let's go to something that's a little bit more of a bright side, and that's the Staten Island Yankees and the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Yes, because for God's sakes, we should report about Staten Island because we are a Staten Island-based sports team, right?
Yes, we are.
For the people that don't like it, oh, well, too bad.
And just yesterday, the Yankees wound up beating the Cyclones 3-1.
A lot of people go to that too.
Yep, in Coney Island.
Yes.
If you've ever taken in a game, either here or
Here
at Coney Island, or
I've
both.
never been to the Coney Island.
I went to Coney Island.
Oh, yes, I did once.
I went to Coney Island, I think it was 10 years ago. The atmosphere is basically like walking around and seeing all the amusement parks. It is an amusement park atmosphere.
Because they have Coney Island there and so forth. So of course you're going to have plenty of people. And, you know, it supposedly takes the ramp of the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Brooklyn Giants.
The Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants.
Excuse me.
Unfortunately, the Staten Island Yankees have gotten off to a rather slow start. They're dead last in the McNamara division with a 5-11 record. Brooklyn, on the other hand, is 10-6.
Well, you know what? Is there anything else? Oh, look. Talk about golf for a second. Look at that. Talk about some of these stuff.
Yeah, this is they had a tournament take place over the weekend right down the Beltway in Potomac, Maryland. And Francesco Molinari wound up shooting a 50-foot eagle. And it wound up giving him an 8-under par 62. And he finished at 21 under 259 for the tournament to win the Quicken Loans National. Boy. And Francesco Molinari, who is not to be confused with Guy Molinari or Susan Molinari, was born and raised in Italy.
Oh, you know what? Have you been following the real football?
If you're talking about the World Cup, only sparingly. I've seen bits and pieces of some World Cup matches. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. We have not talked at all about the World Cup for the last few shows, and I feel really bad about that.
Here's a part of something that you can't, because they're talking about Ronaldo not being in the World Cup next year because he'd be too old, and the guy from Russia, or no, not Russia, it's Brazil and someone else.
Which reminds me,
Menza, is it?
Yeah,
Mencia, somewhere around there, I think is.
That reminds me, Russia has been a pretty impressive host at this year's World
Yeah,
Cup.
they actually did the Day of the Dead over there.
They wound up advancing to the quarterfinals after they beat Spain in penalty kicks yesterday. It was after a 1-1 tie, and Russia won 4-3 on PKs. And then Croatia played Denmark yesterday.
Yes.
That was a 1-1 tie, and that ended in PKs with Croatia winning 3-2. And earlier today, Brazil
Yay! I like
advanced to the quarterfinals, and they wound up winning 2-0 over Mexico. And in the other round of 16 game, Belgium advanced to the quarterfinals when they beat Japan 3-2.
And you know what's funny? I've been to the Carnival in Brazil. Fantastic. It's wonderful. People should go. But they said Trinidadian one is fantastic. I got to go there for the Carnival because that's where I get all the women there. Forget about it. The women come to me like this, like water. They're like
Yeah,
water.
they come to you so they can spray mace on your face.
Doesn't matter how they get turned on as long as they get
That's
turned
not
on.
a turn on, man. They're
That's for
trying to
who?
make you go away.
For who?
That's not a turn on for
Hey,
anybody.
You don't know that. So
That's
go ahead,
not a turn on for anybody.
Continue. That's not for sure for you to say.
Anyway, we already recapped yesterday's and today's action. They're going to have 2 more round of 16 games tomorrow. And our other hope for a Latin country to go to the quarterfinals is Colombia. Because they're going to play England in the round of 16. And in the other game, Sweden's going to play Switzerland. So here's what's going to happen in the quarterfinals. Another Latin American country, Uruguay, is going to play France. And Belgium's going to play Brazil. Or as they like to say so proudly, Brazil. Brazil. And the other quarterfinal is going to be the host country, Russia, taking on Croatia.
Yeah, and Ronaldo is retiring, I think, and so forth. But I wanted you to do this one for a second because Greg Hills.
Yes, let's go back to
Staten
baseball
Island for a
in a
moment.
little bit, specifically the Little League circuit.
Oh, wow.
First off,
They don't get enough attention.
yeah, unfortunately not. Although, if you go to the games at the complex, these Little League games are packed.
Yeah, because when I played, forget about it. Go,
Now, in the
I was a little player.
10-year-old circuit, it was Great Kills National who wound up beating their counterparts from the American League side 5-4, and this was in the 10-year-old tournament. Now, on the 11-year-old side, Mid-Island blew out Great Kills 15-1.
Do you think any of these guys have a chance to make it to the World Series again?
Possibly. Great Kills is usually... Staten Island as a whole has done very well in the tournament.
Yeah.
Great Kills, Mid-Island won the World Series in 1964. South Shore also competed in it as well. And speaking of the Little Leagues, let's see what happened in softball.
Oh, yeah, might as well, yeah.
We mentioned Great Kills before. They wound up winning 14-2 over South Shore. And then Snug Harbor won 13-4 over Mid-Island. And going back to the South Shore, this is in the 12-year-old circuit. South Shore wound up reaching the championship round when they won 7-2 over Ozone Howard.
I got a question for you, switching to football for a moment. And that is, what is the biggest problem for the Jets right now? What is the biggest problems for the Giants? And what's the easiest thing for the Jets and the Giants?
Well, the most difficult thing the Jets are facing right now is who are they going to make their top running back? I mean, granted, they still have Bilal Powell, who's been a pretty serviceable player for them, but he's not really the kind of guy that you want to give the ball to 20 to 25 times a game. He usually gets it about maybe 15 at the most.
So they need another.
They definitely need another running back, a powerhouse running back who can get the ball 25 to 30 times a game. The biggest problem for the Giants right now is going to be who is going to succeed Eli Manning as the quarterback in the next 3 years. I mean, granted, they don't want to look far ahead,
Right.
but at the same time, Eli Manning is going to be, he's actually tutoring right now Davis Webb III and also the kid that they drafted in the mid-rounds out of Richmond. So Other than that, another problem that the Giants might face could be having to fix that offensive line because they need protection for Eli in the meantime.
Next week we'll bring in a list of the Giants and the Dallas and all them, and we'll figure out like we did with baseball and figure out who does what and so forth.
The best thing that the Giants have going right now
Yes.
is their receiving core. And it looks like Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be on a mission to try and regain his form after he broke his ankle last year because now he's working with Sterling Shepard, and they are the duo that Manning is going to be throwing to every single game.
Question: Are the Giants built to win now, or do you see them down the future like in 2 years?
Only the Giants are built to win now. They not only did they draft Saquon Barkley, but they made a whole bunch of additions on the defensive side of the ball, which was a real problem for them. So now you figure against the Cowboys and the world champion Eagles and the Redskins, who are still a problem, the Giants might really put a chink in the Eagles' armor by going to their running game a little bit more and also possibly going to a blitzing type of package to try and make things a little bit more difficult for guys like Dak Prescott or Nick Foles or maybe even Carson Wentz. Now, the easiest thing that the Jets have going for them right now, I would say their front seven. The defensive line is solid. Their linebacking core is young and very, very good. The other good thing that they have going for them is the fact that they might finally have the franchise quarterback that they have been searching for since Joe Namath got retired.
Oh, let's hope in the best and the best and the worst. Question: The Knights are in it, free agency. The Islanders have done free agency as well.
Yeah, that
Rangers
has
and so
been
forth.
a real sore spot.
Have the Islanders done well in the free
Nope.
agency department? Have the Rangers done well in their free agency department?
Actually, they've been pretty quiet in free agency. They
And
have
Devils.
not made that much of a splash yet.
How about the Devils so far?
The Devils have made a couple of minor moves, but nothing really to be excited
Now,
over.
with those three, again, Islanders, the way they picked in the draft, worth it or not worth it?
Yes. I love the two picks that they made at numbers 11 and 12. And at the same time, I really like what the Rangers did, getting that Russian kid at number 9.
Rangers as well. Worth it? Not worth it.
Definitely worth it. And they're really stocking up on younger players right now. The question is, what veteran leadership are they going to go to now that guys like Ryan McDonough have gone on to other teams?
Devils?
Devils are going to be surprising a lot of people next year. And that's saying a lot considering that this year,
They
not
went
only
pretty
did
far, and they wasn't supposed to, supposedly.
they were not supposed to do anything this year. And not only did they make the playoffs, Taylor Hall was the most valuable player in the league this past season.
That's damn good.
They're
really
going
damn
to
good.
surprise
That's
a
really
lot
damn
of
good.
people.
That's really damn good.
Now, if they can get a number one goalie, because to be quite honest with you, I'm not really enamored with Corey Schwartz. If they can get a number one solid goaltender, I think the Islanders, or the Devils, I should say, I think the Devils will be in much, much better shape.
Devils, are they prepared to win now? Are
The
they built
Devils
to win
definitely
now?
want to win now.
No, I'm saying, are they built to win now?
I would say that they're built to win now, yes.
Rangers,
I would probably think that they're in more of a rebuilding mode. The Islanders are absolutely in rebuilding mode.
so you give the Rangers at least 2 years if they go the way they go?
I would give them a couple of years. The Islanders might need about
5
3 or
years?
4 years. And when you consider that they're going to be getting their new arena on the side of the over at Belmont,
Right.
this could be exactly what they need to try and christen in a new era.
You know, today has been an exciting day of sports.
Especially considering that there was an exciting weekend of sports. We just started the month of July, and already about $600 million have been spent in contracts in the NBA.
Look at that. And it's not done yet, ladies and gentlemen.
And just to give you an idea about what's been going on,
Look at that. LeBron.
Paul George re-signed with Thunder.
Yeah.
Chris Paul re-signed with the Rockets. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Rajon Rondo both went to the Lakers. And I just found out Seth Curry, which is Steph's brother, signed with the Trailblazers.
And the biggest signings for the New York Knicks have been
Mario Hezonja.
all right, and
Luke
Cornet. All right.
And
There
as
they
for
go.
the
Yeah.
Nets, the Brooklyn Nets wound up bringing back Joe Harris,
Yes.
and they also signed Ed Davis,
Yes.
who's a journeyman forward.
Yes, they're gonna be great.
You know what?
Have a happy 4th of July.
Yeah, let's end this on a
on a bang.
for
Bang,
lack of
bang.
a better word, let's end this with
wait,
some
wait,
fireworks.
Wade Bryant, WWE.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt unfortunately was
Wyatt.
involved in a car accident.
Yeah,
He got
so-
hurt. Speedy recovery to Bray
And the
Wyatt,
guy
who's
that
been
died
such a
of cancer,
really good
too.
star.
There was a WWE wrestler that died
A
of
guy
cancer.
who
So
won
take
Tough
care.
Enough.
Take care, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass. Thanks to you guys for watching at home. For everyone here, I'm Jaime.
I'm Hector.
Enjoy your 4th of July.
Don't
Good night,
blow off
everyone.
your hands.